welcome back, everyone who's back, and welcome everyone who's new. So our second class. If anyone was not in the first one, it is. I think it's already been uploaded to. Alex started a website that's going to have on it all the materials, including the recordings of the classes. At some point, I'll be a little diligent, and I'll put on some extra material if anyone wants to read some background stuff. So last week, quickly, what we're going to do now? We're going to do three things. First thing, we're going to review a little bit what we did last week. Second thing we're going to practice what we discussed last week. And the third, we're going to learn about the typography, or when you actually take a Gemara and you look and you open up a page, what am I actually looking at? There's a lot of different columns here, a lot of different pieces here. What is each one of these things? Okay, that's what I call Gemara typography, knowing what we're actually looking at, what is what on this page. That we're going to do towards the end, and then next week we're going to practice. That's the model I'm hoping to follow. That every week we're going to start off quick review, followed by actually practicing applying what we've learned the last time, and then learning something new. That's going to be the idea. So where we ended off last week is the fact that whenever you're looking at a piece of Gemara, you'll always be looking at one of three types of sources, right? So that the Gemara, the Talmud, is built from three layers of sources. So anyone want to quickly remind us what would be the first type of source that we would be looking at? A Torah or Tanakh. Yeah, a Tanakh source. Okay, so that would be a Torah source. Okay, or Torah or Tanakh. Okay, so, for our purposes, same thing. And the way in which a person, the giveaway, because part of the things that we're doing, part of the goal here, at least initially, is how to be able to gather as much information as possible about what you're looking at without being able to understand the words. And as ridiculous as that sounds, people all too often think that the main barrier of learning Gemara is a language barrier. So we just don't know the language, but it's not true. Because even if you were to take an English translation, natural translation of the Gemara, and I'll try it. Take a Sensino translation, okay, which is the older translation. It's just a translation. You read it, you still won't really know what's going on, because it's not about the language. And I will prove this to you, and we're going to start this today already, that there's a lot you can actually understand, or start understanding, without being able to actually know what the words are actually saying. And I'm going to start proving that to you today. So the first type of source you'd be looking at is a Torah source. I said the giveaways, okay, there's two main giveaways to know that you're looking at a Torah source. And this is what we're going to practice soon. Okay, I'll just quickly remind us. Anyone remember? There's two giveaways, yeah.
A circle.
Okay, so one is that whenever there's a quote from Tanakh, there's going to be an indication, there's going to be a little circle, a little hollow circle, okay? A little hollow circle. And we'll see this, which basically indicates, it's almost like an asterisk, okay? Almost like a reference letter. Little tiny empty circle. And then when you follow that empty circle to the side, you'll see it will actually say on the sidelines of the text, it will say that this is taken from Bereshit, Perek Mem Hey, or Kings chapter 22, okay? So that's one. The other one, there are certain key words, okay, that tell us, that indicate there's going to be a quote from the Torah. And that is a few words. We mentioned the word, what did we say? Dichtiv, okay, or ktiv. Okay? The word ktiv means what? Means as is written. Now, why if the word as is written, or written, why is that going to be a dead giveaway that it's a quote from Tanakh? This has to do with what we talked about last week. Because when would the oral law, meaning when the rabbis who were discussing the Torah, when would they say the word as is written? Only when they were referring to the written law. Okay, so when it says, meaning as we just explained last week, in later generations, the oral law became written. That's the Mishnah, the Gemara. And we still refer to it as the oral law, because these are the traditions, these are the explanations that were given to the written law. People with me? This is a quick
so
review.
the word Ketib is specific to Torah, not
Yes,
not
because when would the rabbis of the oral law, when would they say? Because remember, the Mishnah is a recording of the conversations that the rabbis had about the Torah, and the Gemara is the recording of the conversations that the rabbis had about the Mishnah. So when would the rabbis, whose whole chap was to recite and to memorize, because you can't write anything down. That's what we explained last week, because they couldn't write anything down. They weren't allowed to write it. They were just memorizing. Where would they use the word as is written? Only in reference to the written Torah, to the written law. So the word ktiv is always, as is written, it would always refer to, you're about to see a quote from the written law. Okay? Also, if someone has a sheet from last week, remind me, what are some of the other words that we used, that we said? Amar kra, here. Okay, the word amar, here. Amar kra, which means said the law. Okay, referring to the written law. Okay. What else? What? No, we'll get to that. Okay. So these are the two giveaways. Two of the giveaways. There's a few other words that we'll see, like, that are also automatic quotes. Here, let me see, just because I'm kind of blanking right now. Yeah, okay. We'll see a few more later on. Then so this is the first layer of sources. What is the second layer of sources that exist in the Talmud? A Tanaic source, right? A Tanaic source. Tanaic source, which I'll quickly remind us, the Torah serves as the primary source that the rabbis for 1,000 years almost, okay, were A, explaining, B, applying, okay, meaning there's the Torah was given, just a quick review, and with it were given explanations of what the psukim mean, but also was given the ability to apply them to new realities as history develops, as society develops, as technology develops. So the rabbis throughout the centuries were A, explaining, B, applying the written law, and then eventually was collected, all those explanations and their applications were collected into the Mishnah, okay, or the Tanaic sources. Now, what is the word Tana? Tanaic sources. The word Tana, as we said last week, means to repeat. Okay, like lishnot, which is vishinantam levanecha, right? We say in Lishma, repeat to your sons. So the word Tana means shana, which means to repeat, because for 1,000 years it wasn't written. They weren't allowed to write it. It was just repeated, memorized. Okay. So any time that any variation of the letters Taf, Nun, Aleph, okay, appear, that's things like Tana, Tanya, Tanina, Tanu Rabbanan, Tanu Rabbanan. Oops, just a second. Tanu Rabbanan. Matnitin, thank you, good. Matnitin. There's a few other variations. Now again, it could be suffix. It could be Tanya, Getanya, Hatanya, Ketanya. There's all just, but any version of that means, that you're about to see a quote of a Tanaic source. Okay, that is one giveaway. Go like this. So this is giveaway 1, giveaway 2. Okay? The other giveaway of a Tanaic source would be its language. What language would it be in? It would be in Hebrew. Okay? Why Hebrew? Because the Mishnah was compiled, meaning they finished putting it together in the year 220 in the land of Israel. Which means that the spoken language was Hebrew still. So, it would have a quote from the Tanakh source would have one of these as the opening, and would be in Hebrew. Hebrew. Okay? Would be in Hebrew. That's the second giveaway. Third type of source that you would encounter would be what? An Amoraic source. Okay? Or actually an Amoraic discussion would be the right word to use. Okay? Where the Amoraim, the rabbis of this period, which we'll talk about a little bit later, are discussing one of these sources.
What is the Amoraic period? Is it?
That's from about the year 220 to the year 500.
So it's a rabbi of that time.
The rabbis of that period. Okay? Because what does the word Amorah come from? It comes from the word Amar. What does the word Amar mean? Said. So these are the live discussions that took place in these study halls about their primary sources. Which are the primary sources of the Amoraim? The Tanaic sources. So, meaning this, anyone who's familiar with academics and how academics work, the concept of primary and secondary sources. So this is the original primary source, which they discuss. So this is, but then they come to, but then this becomes the primary source for them. Okay? Meaning a Tana cannot disagree with what the Torah says, and the Amora cannot disagree with what the Tana says. This becomes a primary source for them, and this becomes a primary source for them. That's a little bit off topic, actually. I apologize. What are the giveaways that you're looking at in Amoraic discussion? So what?
It's in Aramaic.
It's in Aramaic. That's the giveaway. That is the main giveaway, because this is written in Babylon, Mesopotamia, after the year 220, from the year 220 to about the year 500, and they're no longer in the land of Israel. The spoken language is Aramaic, and it is distinct. And we will learn some of the tricks of how you tell that something is, in all likelihood, Aramaic and not Hebrew. Even if you don't know Hebrew, there's still a pretty, just like someone doesn't need to know English to learn how to tell the difference between English and French, as far as the way it's written. There's certain letter combinations that, if you know, I don't know French, but I can identify it because, certain uses of the letter Q just won't be there in English, right? So one is it's in Aramaic, and the second giveaway that it's an Amoraic source is the fact that it lacks any of these. Meaning it lacks a source reference, because it is the live discussions, so they're not, that's the actual discussions that are going on. So it's going to lack any kind of source reference. Okay, so lack of source reference. Okay, there are a few other giveaways, but these are the easiest ones. Okay, any questions on this? What we're going to do in a minute, I'll be happy to take questions. We are going to practice. We are going to. I brought some photocopies because I don't want you to mark up your Gemaras just yet. I brought some photocopies of the first page that we're actually going to be learning, and you guys are gonna and we're gonna accustom to. The classic way in which we learn Gemara is chavrusa. There's a chavruta, learning in pairs. So, and I want to, if anyone would like to work alone, please work alone, and I'm going to come by and I'll be happy to answer questions. But I'm going to first do it once myself. We'll do it kind of together, so you can see what it is that I expect you to be able to do, and then you're going to do it on your own and get a sense for it. And it's going to be weird a little bit at first, but fine. This is, as I said, this is not going to be an exclusively lecture-based class. This is an application class where you're going to kind of get your hands dirty. I'm going to demonstrate in a minute, but before that, if anyone has questions on this. No? Fantastic. Okay. I'm going to pass out a photocopy. This is a photocopy. Just pass it down.
When is the time of the Tanaim?
The time of the Tanaim are from about the year 0, a little bit before the year 0, to the year 220. The first two centuries. Okay, a little bit beforehand, but basically basically the first 2 centuries is the era of the people we identify as the Tanaim. Okay, the rabbis whose words are recorded in the Tanakh sources. Okay, so I strongly recommend having highlighters. Okay, okay, I see people got my email and people brought highlighters. Great. I brought some extras or some here. I only
extras as well.
Okay. So if you can give him a third, because we need 3, right? We need 3 highlighters, right? Now, I actually thought to myself, let's kind of make a rule for ourselves that define which colors will be with each source. But I decided not to. Each person do it on your own, because I wouldn't want because we're kind of doing something artificial here. In a real Gemara, you're not going to see. If we decide yellow, someone would actually think that, okay, there's something about the Tanakh sources that are yellow, or that has to be that, or each one you decide on your own. Or whatever happens to be the first one you use, that's it. That becomes when you get to until you get to your actual Gemara. But because if you start changing it in your own Gemara, then and it becomes inconsistent, then it becomes worthless, because then. In your own mind, decide that blue is the Torah source, or yellow is a Tanakh, whatever, okay? Or at least you have some leverage, you have some flexibility. Try it out now, but when you come to doing your own Gemara, that's it. Okay, so, now, a little bit later in today's class, we're going to go through together all of, right now it just looks like a whole bunch of gibberish and a whole bunch of different kind of lines and columns that we don't know what we're looking at. So right now, and I'm going to explain later exactly what everything is, but right now I really want us to really, before you just hear me talking more and more, get in touch with it ourselves. So right now, all we're looking at is the middle column, okay? We'll get to this later, okay? Later I'm going to give out this, which is a map of what a page of Gemara is and what all the different parts of it are. Don't look for 2 minutes long, it's later. But right now we're only looking at the middle section. The whole middle section, that is what we call the actual Talmud. That is where the 3 layers of sources will appear. This is where the discussions of the Amoraim about the words of the Tanaim and the Torah sources, that's this middle section. Okay? Now, we are going to start from the bold letters that are about 11 rows down that says Matni. You guys see it? In bold, big bold letters.
Yeah.
You see it? Matni. Okay? So, everyone see it? So right now, I'm going to kind of lead us in doing this, but then for a certain section of this, and then you guys are going to try to do it on your own from where we finish. So, Matni, okay, which is short for Matnitin. What source is this going to be?
Tanaim.
A Tanaic source. So, choose your color of highlight or pen, and either highlight it or underscore it, or under whatever, okay? Okay, now, no, don't just do, okay, the reason I want us to use highlighters, I recommend using highlighters, it's not just do it under that word. This is an opening of a quote. We have to figure out where it ends, okay? We have to figure out where it ends. So, there's a pretty easy giveaway in this specific one, because if you go, if you just continue going, and I don't expect you to understand what we're reading, but when you see those bold letters, and again, this is something you wouldn't know on your own, I'm just telling you this, when you have a bold matni, this means this is a quote of an entire Mishnah. Okay? So if you just scroll down with your eyes, okay, if we were to read all this, we'd see it's Hebrew, but we don't even need to do that, because let's say we don't know how to identify it as Hebrew. You see, you go about 8, 9 rows down, you see what's the next big bold letters you see? Gimel Mem. Anyone want to take a guess what that's short for? Gemara. Okay? So what happens is, and that's it, all that is a Mishnah. Because what happens is that the Gemara will do, the Talmud will do, it will bring an entire Mishnah. Say, listen, we're about to discuss this entire Mishnah. Okay? And it's going to bring the whole Mishnah. Then it's going to say, okay, now we're going to discuss the first sentence. And go on for a long time discussing that and doing Gemaras and Tanakh sources and Psukim and all kinds of things together. And then it will go to the next sentence. But right now, it's just kind of saying, hey, this whole section is the one we're about to deal with. Okay? So all of that, highlighted or underscore it or mark it for yourself as all the way from the big matane to the big gimel mem is a Tanaic source. It's a whole big Mishnah. Okay. Okay. Now, gimel mem Gemara. So it's starting what kind of source? A Moraic source. Starting a Moraic source. So now we have to figure out, okay? Because Gemara over here, by the way, this is a mistake. I didn't give this as one of our giveaways, but because it's so explicit. Because the word Gemara means that Moraim are about to speak. Okay, so I'm going to start reading. Okay, we now know that we know that it's going to start with an Moraic source. So whatever your color is, that is different from your first color, okay, get ready to use it. Okay, I'm going to start reading. And stop me when you think I've gotten to a different type of source. I don't only look for the words that you know based on what we've said. My kol mitzvot haben. What?
Aren't they quoting?
What?
They're quoting.
What are they quoting? Where do you see a quotation word or a quotation mark?
They're asking a question about words from the Mishnah.
Yeah, but we're looking. We're going to act now as if we don't understand any of these words. We're just looking for sources. My kol mitzvot haben al ha'av, ilema kol mitzvot de mechayev bra lemevad le'aba, nashim pturot, vehatanya. There you go, right? Hatanya. What's about to be quoted?
Tanaic source.
A Tanaic source. So the Amoraic discussion is now over for our purposes. Okay? Everyone see it? And suddenly, Vihatanya, it's about to quote a Tanaic source. Now again, we have no idea what they're saying. We have no idea what it means. We have no idea for what purpose they're bringing the Tanaic source. We don't know. All we know is that the Morim were talking, and now they are quoting a Tanaic source. Now when I say they, it's the Moraim. As part of the discussion, it would be as if we're doing a shir. It's as if during my parsha shir on Shabbat, I were reading a pasuk and I was saying to people, okay, people, I want you to ask questions. I'm going to say, okay, everyone listen. I'm going to read these psukim, and then I want people to ask questions. And then I would read the pasuk, and then suddenly someone would say, hey, I have a question about this. Okay, that's what's going on here. The Morim are having a conversation about something which we don't understand yet. And then suddenly someone, as part of the conversation, is bringing in, what? A quote from a Tanaic source.
And they're talking about this pasuk,
yes. About this Mishnah.
Okay?
So they say, okay, let's discuss this Mishnah. One of them, the Amoraim, start talking about it, and as part of my conversation, it's as if we're talking about a pasuk.
But it's a Tanaic Mishnah.
Yeah, all Mishnah to Tanakh. Mishnah means something was said by a Tana. Okay? So again, think about it. You have to, if you understand the logic, it doesn't become so difficult. It's as if in the Parsha here, I read a pasuk, we're discussing it, and then suddenly you have a point to make to prove that you're right. And to prove that you're right, you're going to say here, you see, in this pasuk, it doesn't make sense what you said. But how does what you say fit with this pasuk? And you'd read the pasuk. You've just brought in a source to support your argument, or to ask a question. So that's the dynamic that's happening here. The Amoraim are having a conversation, and suddenly now one of them, someone has inserted as part of the conversation a Tanaic source. But I know that now someone's quoting a Tanaic source. Okay? Everyone with us? I'm going to continue. I'm going to read slowly.
This source is a Torah source?
Wait, you're jumping ahead. Vehatanya, so we now know that it's quoting a Tanaic source, and now we're going to look for where it's going to finish quoting the Tanaic source and move on to something else. Vehatanya, ish, en li, ela ish. Ish.
That's the Torah source.
What? How do you know?
It's a circle.
No, it's not a circle.
But it says ish?
It's not a circle. It's an asterisk.
No, before Ish, it's a circle.
After the
Just the word,
the first word ish.
Oh yeah, let me see this version. Let me see.
It's just the word ish.
Okay. Okay, that's a problem. I'm looking at a different version. Okay. Okay. So yes. It is. It's confusing because it's a single word.
Oh, it's just that word that's...
Yeah. But it's fine because let's continue a little bit, okay? V'hatanya ish en li ela ish isha minayin kshehu omer ish imo ve'aviv tirau. Now I'm going to take a guess that when that sentence I just read, ish imo ve'aviv tirau, you guys don't have a little circle, right?
No.
You do or don't?
No.
You don't. Okay. If you were to open up the actual Gemaras, you'll see that there is. But that's because I made a mistake. I was working on one sheet and I photocopied something else. I didn't make sure it fit. Okay. But okay, that's fine. So there's a circle over there that is a quote from the Torah.
But
What?
There is a vav up here.
No. What vav?
Above the after the
Ishimo. Fine. But you guys see that little circle? Okay, so we've learned that little circle indicates a quote. Go to its immediate right, okay, and you see over there, what does it say? Vayikra, right? Yutet. It's telling you, here.
Ours just refers to the reference above.
Oh, Sham Yutet. It's telling you Ibid 19. Ibid 19, you go over there, that says Ibid, and that says Vayikra, okay?
Ibid means what?
Ibid means above. Look at what? Ditto. Actually, I think Ibid is like Latin for something. Here. See over here that little circle? So that indicates that it's a Torah source. And right next to it, it says Sham, which means over there or as above. Yutet 19. So it's telling you that that if you look above, you'll see what sefer it's from. But over here, it's annoying. It also says look above. And it says Vayikra.
Thank you.
Exactly. We'll learn all this. Don't worry. This is all. Look. Let me pause here just for a quick second. We need to realize that when the Gemara was being written, and when all these extra stuff on the side was being written, okay, it's not as there was no printing press. People were writing this by hand. There's a lot of shorthand. A lot. We're going to see a ton of abbreviations, shorthand, acronyms, and eventually you just pick it up. But the reason for this is not because they were trying to be annoying, it's because everything was written by hand. Can you imagine how long and how difficult it was to actually write a full Talmud? It's insane. Okay, Rashi, is writing his commentary. We'll talk about Rashi a little bit later today. Was writing his commentary in the year 1000, or 1090s, around the First Crusade. He wrote a commentary on the entire Talmud. Everything was handwritten, with a feather and an ink. So of course it's going to be very, very sparing, and very sparingly, and shorthand and small references. So instead of writing Vayikra, which is 5 letters, it just wrote Sham, which means above, which is 2 letters. And if that means you need to hop above to see which he's referring to, and over there it also says Sham, which means above. Because if I can only write 2 letters, why would I write 5 letters? You know how long it takes to write 5 letters with a feather and ink? Okay, those little letters there were written in the year about 1540 or 1550. Well, actually, there was the printing press already, but I doubt that it was used in 1550s to print a Talmud. By the way, anyone know what the first Jewish book to ever be printed was? Well, you could guess what it was, pretty obviously.
The first half of the Gutenberg Bible?
The Bible, what? I'm not talking about the first Jewish book, the Tanakh, but the Chumash. But the very first time it was printed, it was already printed with the Rashi commentary. The Torah, it was never printed on its own. The very first time it was printed with the Rashi commentary. Just an interesting tidbit. But we digressed a little bit. We're off topic a little bit. Okay, so we have a little quote from the Torah. We're going to continue. We have a bit of a difficulty here because that version I printed for you is a little misleading. But okay. I'm going to tell you something now. I'm going to break my rule because I want us to figure this out on our own. But the problem is that what you're looking at doesn't follow my rules, and that's problem. That's like from a methodology perspective, that's difficult for me. So I'm going to cheat, okay? And I'm going to tell you how, if you were to open up a regular Gemara, what it would look like, which is what I'm looking at, okay? So you see the word Vehatanya. So we know that is a Tanaic source, okay? So in my version, which is the regular version, it says Ish with no quote on it, because it's a single word, so it's hard to know if it's an actual quote. It's just a word. En li ela ish isha minayin. All this is part of the Tanaic source. It's also clear Hebrew. And then it says kshehu omer, when it says, referring to the written Torah. And then there's a whole pasuk. Ish imo va'aviv tira'u. Okay, which is, and I'm going to break my rule here. I'm going to translate it just to, okay, that one should fear his father and his mother. This is a full pasuk. This is an entire pasuk. So, the Tanaic source goes from Vehatanya until the word Ish, like Ish imo va'aviv tira'u. And then, in my version, as if you were to open up a regular Gemara, you would see the words Ish imo va'aviv tira'u is a pasuk. Okay? Now the reason I don't want to do what I just did is because I told you now something that I did not teach you how to do on your own. Okay? But if you were looking at this, you wouldn't know how to do it on your own. So I apologize.
So
because
nice.
the whole purpose of what I'm trying to do now is to show you how in 5 minutes you will try to do this on your own. But I've just told you something that you wouldn't know. But it's because I'm going to pay more care. In the future, we won't be doing it on sheets. We'll be doing this in our own Gemaras. I just wanted to do one where we can kind of do it safe and make mistakes like we just did.
So where does the Tanaic source end?
It ends with the quote of Ish imo va'aviv tira'u, which is a whole pasuk.
Okay, so the Torah source is actually after the Kishehu
Yes.
Omer.
Kishehu Omer means as he says, referring to the Torah. Okay. I know it might sound a little bit confusing. We will do this a few times over a few classes. It will become clearer. Okay? Yeah, Alex.
Just curious, also the tangent. Why is it he says? Is that refers Torah? Is he or?
It's referring to Hashem.
Hashem is he.
When he says, yeah.
Okay.
Ish imo va'aviv tira'u, and then it continues, Harei kan shnayim. Okay?
And when it says Omer, is it always going to be a quote as opposed to he said or the Torah said that, and it's not like a direct quote? Will it always be
An actual quote.
Are these Ish imo va'aviv tira'u? Is that from the Torah? That's
Yes.
the word from the
Word for word. That
Will
is
it
an
always
actual
be like
quote.
that? There won't be
Yes.
that. It won't be said that.
No, it will be a quote. It will be a quote. Okay, let's continue. Okay, let's continue. So we have, then we have Harei kan shnayim. Okay, then it continues.
So Harei kan Shnayim.
Harei kan shnayim. Again, I'm giving you rules, and as we all know, sometimes rules, just like when you're learning a language, the rules will cover 90%. Okay, but they won't cover everything. Harei kan shnayim. I'm going to just give you this one. I'm going to this is a continuation of the Tanaic source. Now, the way you would know this on your own is the fact that it's Hebrew, but it's hard to tell. Okay, it's hard to tell just with those 3 words, but it is Hebrew, and therefore it's a Tanaic source.
It was any way that we could have known that the Torah quote finished at Tireu and that Harei started something different?
No.
But
Okay? It would be a little difficult to know that.
In our version, there's a little while, like above hey. Does that mean anything?
Also in mind, but no, it doesn't. That wouldn't help indicate anything.
It's just a side note. I think.
It's a reference of some kind. Okay. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Hachi Ka'amar. Okay. Now, here's another little rule. Okay. A phrase. What does Amar Rabbi mean? Said Rabbi. Someone said. This is. What does this sound like? What kind of source does this sound like?
Hebrew.
What?
Hebrew.
Forget about the Hebrew for a second. Okay? is it meaning someone is speaking? Someone is speaking. Okay, it's not a Torah source that we know because there's no circle and there's no quote. Okay, someone is speaking, but it didn't say any one of these words, and there's no little circle. So what is it?
It's an Aramaic.
So it's an Amoraic discussion, right? Someone's speaking. Rabbi so and so said. Okay, but it's not before this statement. It does not say the rabbis of the Mishnah. It doesn't say Tana. It doesn't say Matnitin. There's a lack of a source reference, right? Someone is saying something new. Wait, how do I know someone's saying something new? Because it says Rabbi X said. Someone's saying something new, but there's no source reference, meaning it's not a quote. If it's not a quote, and this is important to remember, if it's not a quote, it is the Amoraim having a discussion. Because remember, and we're going to say this a lot of times until we kind of really, it's seared into our brains. This whole thing is a recording of live discussions. As part of that discussions, people are bringing quotes from the Mishnah and quotes from the Torah. But the basic thing that this is, it's a bunch of rabbis from the time of the Gemara, of the Amoraim, having a discussion. So if someone is speaking and there's no quote from the Mishnah and there's no quote from the Torah, by default, what is it? Amoraic discussion. Everyone got that? Okay? It's weird, but it's weird what I'm saying. But again, imagine that someone is listening to a Parsha class. How would someone tell the difference between when I'm giving my opinion versus when I am quoting the Torah? Because you'd see, if I'm quoting the Torah, unless I'm quoting the pasuk or reading the pasuk, I'm obviously, it's me speaking. It's me speaking what I think. Okay, people with me? Good. So we have Amar Rabbi Yehuda. So this is an Amoraic source. Hachika Amar. Kol mitzvot haben hamutalot al ha'av la'asot livno anashim chayavin v'nashim p'turot. Tanina. Someone stop me. Ding, 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 ding. Red lights. Tanina. Tanaic source. I have no clue what we just read. But I know that whatever the Amoraim was saying, their discussion has, their own quote, their own discussion is finished, and now someone is quoting a Tanaic source. How? Because of the word Tanina. So whatever your color, please just make sure you're keeping track of your colors, right? Whatever your color is for a Tanaic source, go back to that.
I'm getting a little confused.
Okay. With what?
What we're seeing here is from where the big Mem Taf Matnai is.
Yeah.
So that's the pasuk.
Nope.
No,
that is a Mishnah.
That's a Mishnah.
Yeah.
And then
basically they're saying, hey, look, this we're going to be discussing this whole section of the Mishnah. So they say, here, let's put it all out there. People that back then didn't have 5 different books. Okay? So they say, here's the entire Mishnah that we are about to be discussing for the next 20 pages.
Okay.
But first thing we'll do is going to give you the whole section, overview of the whole thing. Okay? And that's that whole initial piece.
So the Mishnah there is, and we know that it's a Tanaic, so it's a Tanaic source. It's a Tanaic quote. So
Yep.
And then the Amoraim are discussing this.
Correct.
And to use and in this discussion they are using Torah sources and
Correct.
other Tanaic sources.
Correct. You understand it perfectly.
So we're kind of bouncing around between.
You understand it perfectly.
Okay.
Again, think of it as a parsha. Think about the model of a regular parsha shir. You would start off by reading 10 verses, right? To give people an idea, this is what we're going to be discussing. Okay? After we've read the whole thing, 10 psukim, 3 psukim. Okay. Now, let's go back. Let's read the first pasuk again. Do you have a question? How do you understand this? Now, as part of you trying to give me your opinion about the pasuk, as part of you giving your own personal thing, you would also quote what you heard that rabbi say, and you might quote what it says in the following pasuk. It's still you talking, but as part of your conversation, you're going to be bringing in quotes from the psukim or from a rabbi. That's what's happening here. Okay, the Amoraim are having a very lengthy and complicated discussion, and as part of that conversation, they're going to be bringing in and using quotes from the psukim, from the Torah itself, and from Tanakh sources. So the first thing that we need to learn how to do...
the light might have just come on for me. So when we learn Gemara, we're effectively learning the Amoraic discussions around what the Tanaim effectively said, where you said down.
Yeah.
I see.
It's a recording of the live conversations that the rabbis of the period of the Amoraim were having about the sources that came before them. It would be as if someone had videotaped or recorded a Parasha Shir, and then someone else was listening to it, or someone else had transcribed it, and he would say that Mr. Cohen asked the following question, and then Rabbi Spitz answered this, and brought as his proof what it said in last week's Parsha, and it's just it's someone what's the word, transcribed, I guess, recorded in writing the live conversations that took place when the rabbis of the period of the Gemara, years 220 to 500, were discussing for hundreds of years, over hundreds of conversations with dozens of rabbis, discussing the sources, trying to understand and apply the sources that came before them. Okay? Yes, we're going to say it again until we understand there's a concept here. And what we're trying to do now is we're trying to look at the discussions and say, okay, over here they're talking, and then suddenly someone brought in this layer source, and then they went back to discussing it, and then this will help us kind of deconstruct, okay, and try to start mapping out this discussion. Okay, and it'll be a lot easier once we identify this and then we're going to learn another really important skill after we do this and practice a little bit. Next week, hopefully, we're going to get to a much deeper level of how to, now that you've identified the different sources, how do you even go inside without understanding almost any words of understanding of deconstructing the discussion. How are we doing this time? Okay, we're okay. Okay, everyone with us? Okay, we're at the Tanina. Okay, so this is a quote from a Tanakh source. So I'm gonna continue reading. Tanina leha de Tanu Abanan. Okay, Tanu Abanan. This is the reason you don't see the word Tanu Abanan is because it says Taf Resh, which is an acronym. There's gonna be very little memorized, vocabulary that you're gonna have to learn, but there's gonna be some shorthand. This is a acronym. You don't have to write it down right now. If you want to, you can. But I'm gonna, as we progress, we're gonna learn 5 words, new words each time that are really important words. But okay, ha'av chayav. All this is part of the Tanakh source. It's also Hebrew. Ha'av chayav bivno lemulo livdoto ulelamdo Torah uleasio isha ulelamdo umanut. All this is the Tanakh source. V'yesh omrim af lashito b'mayim. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Kol she'eno melamed et beno omanut, melamdo listut. Listut salka da'atach. Okay, so this is one that you probably wouldn't know on your own, but this already is Aramaic.
What says Rabbi Yehuda Omer?
Rabbi Yehuda Omer.
That would be
this is something to look at, to come and say, well, this could look like it's the beginning of something new, other than the fact that it is Hebrew. So it's just an opposing opinion. But okay, this is some, I don't expect you guys us to know all of this yet, okay? But this is Hebrew. So basically the Tanakh source goes all the way from Tanina until the word listut. Okay? You guys see the colon Okay, so one row above that there's melamdo listut. That is the end of that Tanaic source. Listut salka da'atach ela ke'ilu melamdo listut. So this is a new sentence.
What does that lamed indicate?
Which one? I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to answer that question yet. I'm not going to. That's a reference. That's a reference to. That's a side reference. Okay. The little tiny letters you see scattered throughout the text are footnotes. Okay. It's a reference to a footnote.
I understand you don't want to tell us that at the moment.
Because it's. I don't want to give you too much information which cause it confuse you.
But then, may I ask where there's a lama there? Where there's a lama there?
Yeah.
Does that one refer to?
That is a footnote that sends you over there.
Oh.
But it's not part of the primary text.
Right.
Okay?
Rabbi, aren't there a couple Aramaic words that are showing up here in the Tanaitic text? I mean, Tanina is the same root, but is that not in Leha? I find it a little confusing, I guess.
So okay, so Leha is Aramaic, but it's part of the word Tanina. The word Tanina is also Amoraic, but it's saying in Aramaic the Amoraim are basically saying, hey, in Aramaic, I'm about to quote a Tanaic source for you. Okay, so for instance, just to give you an idea, okay, because I just said that when it says Ktiv, it's going to be a Torah source, but usually it will appear as Dechtiv, okay, which is not Hebrew. Dechtiv is as is written, but with a Dalet that's Aramaic. Again, we will get to this, but just to prove the point, Dechtiv is Aramaic because it's the Amoraim saying in Aramaic as it says in, and after that it'll be open quote. Okay, so Tanina Leha is someone saying the Amoraim saying in one way or another, I'm about to quote a Tanaic source for you. That's Tanina Leha. Literally Tanina Leha is we said the following Tanaic source, okay, and then it says Tanu Rabbanan. Okay, if you didn't get that, that's fine. That's not actually part of what we're trying to do right now. Okay, and then we have a new sentence: Listut sal kadatach ela keilu melamdo listut. Okay, there's a few Aramaic words in there which right now we don't know how to identify yet, but there's no source reference to a Torah source. There's no source reference to a Tanaic source. Therefore, this is what kind of source? An Aramaic source. That's it. Okay? We have now just reached the end. We have now we should have it color-coded for ourselves now, right? And we can see now that there's one quote from the Torah here, there are 3 quotes from a Tanaic sources, and there are 3 Amoraic discussions connecting these sources. So it's interesting here. Look at this for a second. The majority of this whole section is what? Is just quotes connected by conversations of the Amoraim. But the majority of it is primary sources that they're just discussing to understand what they mean. This is pretty much what we're going to see throughout all the Gemara, that the majority of it is different variations of quoted texts that the Amoraim are trying to figure out or compare, contrast to each other. Okay? Let's see, what time is it? 8:53. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to just a second. You know what? Let's take a shot. Okay? Try on the next section, okay, is you see the colon that we reached? Okay, now I want you to look 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rows down. There's another colon. You see it?
Yeah.
Okay. What?
Lifdoto.
Yeah, up until the word livdoto. So, I want you guys to try this on your own. Okay, what are you doing? Or in pairs would be the best to learn the dynamic of learning in twos. Here, I'll work with you. Okay? I of course, I'll work with you. Okay?
Going from polemical one, or are we starting at the next?
Now again, remember, you're going to need these words. I want to see something. I want to see something. Okay. Okay, so let's start over here. Okay, let's start over here. We're starting from, if anyone needs me, pick up your hand, but only when you feel that you've actually tried. We're over here.
So I think
okay, so it says Menalam, we don't know what that means. But dichtiv, what is dichtiv? What is dichtiv? Dichtiv is a Torah source, as is written. And also you see over here, it has that little circle, which means that it's a quote from the Torah. So let's see, what color? Let's take green, let's say, as a Torah source. Okay? So it says, okay, so we know, so at first we have this one, okay, which is no source. So therefore, it is going to be an Amorite source. Okay? There's no source. So this is the actual conversation. Okay? As is written, which means it's going to open up a quote of the Torah. Okay? So Vayamal Abraham et Yitzchak bino. Now this word, V'heicha. Okay? So V'heicha. Guys, I want to give you one thing. One really, 90% of the time, words that end with the letter Aleph tend to be Aramaic. Okay? And if suddenly you're like, we're going to say, well, I'm not sure where this source ends. So a lot of times that's a way to tell. But carry on. Sorry for the interruption. So that is clear Aramaic. Okay? So we're going to go like this. Okay. And then we come to Amorite. Okay? Now we have to look where this ends. Okay? I'm going to read, you tell me. I'm going to read. You tell me when I
where it ends.
Yes, you will. You'll see. Vehecha delo mahalei avuha michayve be dina lemim helei dichtiv. Somewhere there you go. We have no idea what any of that means, but we know that it ends there, right? So we're going to go like that.
Okay.
Right?
So here, kasher tziva.
Dichtiv. What kind of source is that going to be? Torah. And you see, you got also the dichtiv and also the circle. Okay. Okay. So dichtiv himor lachem kol zachar vehecha. There you go. There's that strange word again with the aleph at the end. Correct. Okay. Okay. So vehecha delo mahalei be dina michayev ilu lemimhal nafshei dichtiv. There you go. Right? You see, it's repetitive. Because a lot of times it works in repetitive structure.
Some is probably like a little bit of
there we go. Ve'arel zachar asher lo imol et besar orlato v'nichreta v'nichreta ihi menala v'lo v'nichreta. So this is Aramaic. Ihi is not a Hebrew word. So we know that this whole thing we just said. There we go. Okay. So dichtiv again. So we know again. Right. Right. So we know this is also. Wait. First we have to figure out the way for where. So ihi menalan delo mechayva dichtiv. So over here we need to do this back. Okay. Yellow, which is Amorite discussion. Dichtiv goes back to Torah. So it's kasher tziva oto Elohim oto v'lo otam. So this is a little bit hard because this I don't know what it's really connected to.
Yeah. There.
Okay.
There.
So I'm not gonna do anything with that because I don't know what it means.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to leave that. Must be
Ashkechan miyad v'dorot menelan detana. There you go. So this is not a Tanaic source, which means if it's not a Tanaic source, it's not a Torah source. What are these words? It's not a Torah source.
Yeah, I'm going to leave that.
And it's not a Tanaic source. Aramaic, so it must be Aramaic. There you go. That means that we didn't know over here. Wait, just one second. Just a second. Yes.
Maybe it's multiple sources.
Okay.
What is
It's multiple Torah sources.
So what is
Yeah, I think
Oh, wait a second. Wait, we will. Oh, I just got mixed up.
Потом идет до слова «катит».
and then
Oh, no. I'm fine. Okay. Yeah, sorry.
I want to know, we got through,
Здесь уже надо...
but surely we need to know exactly what it's saying.
We will on the later stage.
As you point out.
But what we're doing first is we are demonstrating the fact that even without knowing what it's saying, there's a whole bunch of things that we can figure out and know on our own, even without knowing the
We
language.
don't know, we just figure this out. But we don't know the
Because
we don't know what we figure out.
Yeah, I mean,
I know who's talking,
I think so.
and I know what they're talking. And after this stage, we're going to learn.
So that kind of understand what they're
We're also going to learn. Before we know what someone is saying, we're going to figure out what is he trying to do. Later on, this is next, we're going to figure out.
that's what kills me when I'm reading these things.
I know who's talking. I don't know if it's an Amorah or a Tana or the Torah. And I'm going to know. Later says we have to figure out what is the person trying to do. I know it's an Amorah talking. Is he asking a question? Is he answering a question? Is he attacking? Is he being a proof? That's the next stage. After we learn to identify different sources, we have to identify what are they trying to do. And after that, we come to saying, okay, what are they actually saying? But if we started from what they're saying, we should be translating word for word and we have no clue what's going on.
Explain that English, so you know it already.
Correct. Because then it'll be like a book. You could read it. But you wouldn't be learning.
Потом опять самый нижний
It would be like taking a math book.
So you think,
Okay, and just reading the questions and reading the answers. So I know that I know how to read the equation, but I'm not learning math. I'm just reading math.
Yeah.
No one would think no one in their mind would think of reading math. What's the point of reading math?
So now last week you gave us a handout. And are we giving a handout?
Most weeks, yeah, depending on the Okay, so let's just finish this.
there's another one.
Okay, no, we're doing great. Okay, the Tana, this opens up what? A Tanaic source.
So it says like
The Tana, the Vei, Rabbi Yishmael. Kol makom shene'emar tzav eino ela zeruz miyad u'ledorot. Miyad u'ledorot. Zeruz dichtiv. Okay, so we know that is. So all of this becomes.
I found it amazing.
На самый нижний
I think there's this
идет
little
только
piece here
катит,
that
то
we
есть
didn't
три
know.
слова.
Okay, and now it becomes a Torah source. Dichtiv. V'tzav et Yeshua v'chazkeu v'amtzeu.
Неважно, можно...
Miyad u'ledorot dichtiv. Torah source. So we have this Torah source.
Ну, наверное, слово еще
We
сказано.
have Min Hayom Asher Tziva Hashem V'Hana Ledorotechem.
That's it.
That's it.
This is what you need.
Значит,
Okay?
Israeli source.
And this goes like that. That's a cheat sheet because that I'm just telling you. That's it. Okay.
Thank you very much.
No problem. I'll do a quick check. I'm gonna kind of come around. People are. You can leave that on the board, kind of. Let's see. Did people find it okay? Did people feel like they got it? Like they would feel confident?
We should
Let's see. Where
check.
did you start from?
Давай это
Here. No, where are we? Where is it?
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome,
Limulo.
Mr. Taylor.
We did the next one by accident. Fine, it's okay. Limulo, Menala. Wait, what is, you know what? I'm going to do it from here. I'm just going to go over here.
Very important.
And everyone, just a second, where is it? Okay. Let's review it really quickly.
Next source.
Okay. Alex, you guys almost done? Yeah?